What should Kirby Smart do about the Georgia quarterback situation? And yes, there is a Georgia quarterback situation because you got two guys in Stetson Bennett and JT Daniels that are both capable of leading this offense to what I believe a national championship run. I think both of them have the capability of doing it, and they both show that they can dominate their opponents this year as Georgia's blown out everybody except for Clemson in that opening game. Ryan Curley here from Dog Post bringing you all the details. Remember to be going to the site, dogpost.com. Subscribe. There's no better place to get all your Georgia Bulldogs information. We've got it all covered for you between recruiting, the football team, the basketball team, everything. So, dogpost.com. JT Daniels, Stetson Bennett, what does Kirby Smart do now that both of them are healthy, both of them are able to play? We saw JT Daniels get into the game against Missouri in the second half. Looking at his stat line, he was 7 for 11, 82 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And let's be real, that was a bad interception by JT Daniels, just a poorly thrown ball. And, you know, if I had to describe it in one word, I'd chalk it up to rust. I think JT Daniels is rusty. He hasn't played in a while. He's been injured. He's had multiple injuries this year. And, you know, it's kept him out of the game. And he hasn't been able to get real game action until Saturday. He was cleared to play against Florida, but obviously they kept him out. Missouri was the first game that he got into. But I will say there was a bit of a crispness to the offense. Crisp is the way I like to describe it. When he was in the game on Saturday, even though, you know, a couple drives, you know, we did get to see him play. There were, and as much as, you know, he only threw 82 yards, he only had 11 pass attempts. There's a certain crispness when JT Daniels is out there. It feels like it's smooth. He makes quick decisions. He gets the ball out fast. He's accurate. Besides the one bad throw, which happens, and I really think part of that's rustiness. He hasn't been playing. But, you know, he also has the potential to explode at any moment. You know, he's got the deep ball. You know, he has a good connection with receivers. One connection I like to highlight is his chemistry with Jermaine Burton. I think that, you know, Southern California kids, I think that they have a good connection, especially on that deep ball. They're a touchdown waiting to happen. So what does Kirby Smart do? You have Stetson Bennett who has come in, do his job. Let's forget about this. Forget about the fact that JT Daniels was a 5-star and that he was ranked right behind, not very far behind Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. As much as they were generational talents, it was Trevor and Justin, and then you got JT Daniels right there, and then there was everybody else in that 2018 quarterback class. Throw that out the window. You got Stetson Bennett, who was a walk-on at Georgia, had to leave Georgia, came back. He was a backup, and then he gets thrown in there last year. Not great from him last year. You know, JT Daniels ends up coming and balling out. Forget that Stetson Bennett's a walk-on. What do we have here right now with these two quarterbacks? You got Stetson Bennett on one side who has come in, he's led the offense. The guys really like playing for him, and that's the same thing for JT Daniels. But, you know, they support Stetson Bennett. The players and the coaches support Stetson Bennett. He shows that he's dynamic. He is a weapon with his legs. They don't use it very much, but he can break a long run. We've seen him break long runs. We've seen him get out of getting sacked by moving out of the pocket and making throws on the run, scrambling for a few yards by avoiding a sack. That's something that something that he does better than JT Daniels. You know, and there's no way of getting around that. JT is just not as mobile as Stetson Bennett. And Stetson Bennett's obviously a good leader. When it comes to passing the football, I think that JT Daniels is better, and it gives Georgia a little bit more kick on offense, and like I said, a crispness, a smoothness that maybe Stetson Bennett doesn't bring as much. But the reality is they're both really good football players who are producing wins for the number one team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs, and, you know, the defense has really helped, but these guys are leading a very talented offense, and we're seeing both of them get game action now. Obviously, like I said earlier, I think it's Stetson Bennett's job to lose. You know, what do? You got Stetson Bennett winning games. You want to keep the continuity, but then you got a guy like JT Daniels. You got people yelling at you. You need to play JT Daniels, and you know what he can do for this offense. You know the potential the offense has when JT Daniels. I think they're a higher scoring team when JT Daniels, or have potential to be a higher scoring team when JT's out on the field. What do you do with the situation as far as moving forward? I think against Tennessee this coming week, I think JT has to play. You know, my assumption right now is that Stetson Bennett's going to start. It just makes sense to me. I think, if they're planning on making JT the starter again in the future, I think they want to slowly work him back in before the SEC championship game on December 4th, I believe. I think they're trying to slowly work him back in while you have a reliable option, Stetson Bennett, that's winning you games. The reality is they're blowing everybody out. Okay? Other than Clemson, they've blown every opponent out. I think they've covered the spread almost every time. I don't know if they covered the spread against Missouri, but they were very, very close. I mean, a 37-point win, significant. I know the line was bouncing around between 35 and 40, so they were close if they didn't get it. They're dominating. The team's dominating. A lot of that has to do with the defense, but the offense is full of stars, and it's just a matter of who's leading it in that backfield. Is it Stetson Bennett or JT Daniels? We have to start asking ourselves if it matters. A lot of people think that JT Daniels gives them a better chance to win the national championship, gives the offense a little bit more explosion. I tend to fall on that side. I think JT Daniels probably gives you a better chance to win. But that's no knock on Stetson Bennett. He's coming in there and winning games for Georgia, and, I believe that Stetson Bennett can win Georgia the national championship. So what does Kirby Smart do? I mean, what he's going to do is play the guy that he thinks is giving them the best chance to win in that moment, during that play, during that game, during that week. And, he chalks it up a lot to practice. Who's practicing harder? Who's doing better in practice? What does he do going forward, though? I think you got to play both guys. But I think you're going to have to make a decision. Do you play both guys every game? I don't know. But I think a decision is going to have to be made, and Georgia fans are going to have to live with that decision, whether it's Stetson or JT. I don't know if either of them are the wrong choice at this point. I tend to fall on the JT side as far as I think he gives them a little bit better of a chance. If you want to make a national championship run, I think he's a little bit more suited for this offense. But as offensive coordinator Todd Monken has done all year, he's adjusted and catered to whoever's out there on the field, and they're both playing well. So what does he do going forward? That's the big question. I think we're going to see both of them against Tennessee. I think we're going to see both of them the rest of the way as far as the last 3 regular season games. But when it comes to playing Alabama, A&M, Auburn, or Ole Miss in the SEC championship, who's your guy? Who's your guy when you're probably going to either Miami or Dallas in the Cotton and Orange Bowls? Who's your guy? I kind of think you have to make a decision there instead of just playing both of them. Who's your quarterback? Kirby Smart? That's kind of the question we're going to be asking. I think we're going to see both of them against Tennessee. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, and we'll try to get back at you. Who should be the guy moving forward? Do you stick with the continuity and the keeping the same thing going with Stetson Bennett winning games, or do you put your quarterback that has a little bit more firepower on offense? What do you do? Let us know in the comments.